Hello, and welcome back to another episode of IROC Business Entrepreneur Series. I am your host, Corey Fonville Foster, and I am so excited because today I have with me a ball of energy, Mr. Positive himself, Mr. Michael Jones of Magic Bear Art. Hi, Michael.
Hi, Corey. How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited. Every time I talk to you, it's like joy just gets put into me. I'm like, okay, you're never down. You're never sad. I love, at least not with me. You're just always such a ball of joy.
Well, thank you. I guarantee you, I'm not always like that, but I do try in situations like this. I definitely try.
Awesome. Great. So I am so excited that you're here. When I was thinking about doing this podcast, I wanted to make sure I had people that were just super uplifting, super motivating, and who had really great stories. So I was so excited that you could come in and talk to the audience because I know you definitely have a story to share. And I love everything about Magic Bear Art, and I wanted that to be shared with the audience. So do tell us, I don't want to get too deep. Tell us a little bit about who Michael Jones is.
Well, Michael Jones he's not an artist. He's just a man that paints. I feel there's a very big difference. Like I said, I'm a self-taught artist. I'm 47 years old, originally from the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. I had a very bad case of asthma when I was a kid. So instead of going outside and playing with the other boys and the other girls, I stayed indoors a lot. So that's where I colored, I read books, listened to music, really developed the artistic side of myself. And as I got older, you kind of grow up and, you kind of do what your parents tell you and, go and do your art on the side. My original plan was to be a writer because I stuttered. And for the longest time, writing was the only way I was able to communicate. So I thought about becoming a writer. But strangely enough, when I found my voice literally and figuratively in college, now I get a stutter when I face a blank page of paper. So it's interesting. But I am dabbling in a little bit of writing. But as far as the artist side of me, um, I've had 20 years of nonprofit experience. When I relocated back to the Hampton Roads area in 2012, I went to first work for a nonprofit that provided services for people with disabilities. And my very first day on the job, my first assignment was to take a tablecloth that had been splattered with paint and to find a picture out of it because their annual fundraiser was that following Friday night. So that was my first job was to take a frame and a mat and try to find a picture in this very abstract of glitter and paint that had been splattered on a tablecloth. And it was just beautiful. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing. I love this. I could do this at home. I could just get some old tablecloths and some old shirts and just splatter paint all over it. And as I got to work there and I got to see more of their artwork, it really spoke to me. And I was thinking, the great thing about these individuals is that they're not burdened with the anxiety and the self-doubt and the insecurity that most people are when it comes to artistic expression. Um, there was no sense of I can't do this, I don't know how. They just created, and that's really what inspired me to create. So I went out to AC Moore and I got a whole bunch of canvases. Yeah, AC Moore, God rest him in peace. Um, but got canvases and paint and brushes and I went home and I sat there very much like, I'm afraid. And I had to actually tell myself, look, this is just for you. You're just creating. This is only for you. Don't worry about it. It doesn't matter if you're a Rembrandt. It doesn't matter if you're Picasso or Keith Haring or Thomas Kincaid or anybody. You're Michael Jones. So what does Michael Jones look like? And so I thought about it. I'm doing this because it makes me happy, and I want to paint pictures that make me happy and images that spark joy and happiness. So that's just what I started doing. I just started painting here and there, and then people started liking it. And then next thing you know, one person saw pictures of all my pictures, and then they asked me to bring my art to an exhibit at the bank. So I mean, they had some business partners there and who saw my artwork. And one of those individuals asked me to come to his senior living facility and explain my artwork there for the residents. And so it just kind of grew. Um, I started becoming in between jobs. I was offered another position running a fundraising campaign locally. Um, I did that for a little bit, and then I decided, well, they actually laid me off. Um, but I said, I'm kind of in my 40s now. Let me try to do something fun. So there was a wine and paint place in the Williamsburg area that started hiring for artists. And I thought, that'd be kind of fun to be an artist and, to work with people and just work on this. So I went and I applied and I was hired. I put out the word, yeah, I'm working at this wine and paint place. So if you want everyone to do a class, come by and see me. We'd be glad to. Well, then 2 days later, they took back the offer because they decided not to hire anybody. So all of a sudden, I'm now not employed. And I had someone write me and say, well, Michael, why don't you do your own classes? I'll pay you to come over with my friends and we'll paint pictures and drink wine. I'm like, maybe I should do that. Maybe I should go ahead and, you know, start painting and, do my own classes. So then I thought, well, if I'm going to make this a career, because I kind of like this, this is fun. I'm really enjoying painting pictures and I'm liking the fact that other people are really seeming to enjoy it. Um, I need to get a business license. So I went to the county and I applied for my business license. I applied for my federal tax ID number, so that way, in case this was going to be my full-time job, I was legitimate, so therefore I was covered with everything. Well, then I got hired for a
A
real job,
real job.
real job with benefits, and so that kind of took me away from the path that I had started. But throughout that, even through these past 5 years, because I got my business license in 2015, um, so I've been paying my taxes and I've been filing every quarter and selling here and there, but I haven't really made it a full time thing yet. And I'm looking to do that hopefully sometime this year.
That's awesome because I think a lot of people think that success has to look a certain way. And I think that your story is really important to tell because you've already been successful based on the fact that you are living and doing things you're passionate about. And as you become successful, you just move the finish line. So this year you want to be able to do it maybe full time. The next year, maybe you want to be able to have many exhibits. And then the line to success just keeps growing and growing and growing. And I think it's important. That's why I don't bring everyone up here when they finally reached $1 million. Like, no, let's celebrate the little milestones. Like you were, like you said, laid off here, fired here. It was like when one door closed, another door was opening. And even though, look, you still have that quote unquote real job, right? But the job our parents are like, well, you need to have a real job and make real money. But you
Yeah,
still are living your passion. And I love that you started Magic Bear Art because there needed to be some type of art out there that wasn't so, for lack of a better word, serious. Like I've been intimidated, and I've told you that, been very intimidated to go out and paint or go to anything. So I'm like, oh, I'm not a painter, I can't paint. And I love that when I talked to you about it, you were like, it doesn't matter what other people think, right? We do it for ourselves. If that is my stress reliever, if I just want to scribble on a paper and I like the art, that's all that matters. And I think that a lot more people need to hear that because art can be therapeutic. It can be something to do for fun. It can just be something to enjoy, just to look at. And it doesn't have to be, like you said, that Picasso. It doesn't have to be in any specific style, in any specific color, anything like that. We don't need to know color theory. We can just enjoy the process.
absolutely. I mean, first of all, I chose Magic Bear Art as the name because I had to think of something. And I wanted something that conveyed I was like, what are the major components about my business, about my art? Is that it was happy, joyful, colorful, imaginative, and magical. I wanted something that was magical. And actually, I back in the early 2000s of the chat rooms and coming up with screen names, that was actually one of my screen names was Magic Bear. And I thought I didn't want to call it Art by Michael. I wanted something that would stand out. So I chose my old screen name of Magic Bear, and Magic Bear Art was born. But yeah, it makes me happy, and in my sense, I'm already a success. I don't because I'm doing what I love. Um, um, I know lots of people who, I've heard of other artists who make it big, but then they lose the joy. They lose. It becomes all of a sudden becomes a burden to them, or they get wrapped up in, they fall prey to what a lot of artists fall into. They fall into bad relationships and drugs because it's this thing, this warped notion of what success is.
Yeah.
And I just think me putting my art out there, getting joy from it myself, other people getting joy from it, that's really all the success. Everything else is just gravy, frankly.
Yeah, exactly. It's that icing on the cake. And I want to
It's
tell
just the
people,
icing.
even though we're saying, he's enjoying it, he still gets paid for his art, guys. So look, I don't want y'all to think
Oh yes.
he's for free.
Oh, absolutely.
He's doing it with passion, but he still is collecting his coins and putting them in the bank. So I just want to
Well,
be clear.
yes. Well, the funny thing is that when I first started painting, I dated someone briefly in 2015, and he had a coworker who saw my artwork, and she decided to buy several of my canvases because she said, you're going to be famous one day, and I want to buy your paintings now while I can still afford it." So she actually has several Michael Jones originals in her apartment up in DC. So I'm
Awesome.
like, hey, from your lips to God's ear, let's see what happens.
Exactly. That's what I say. It doesn't. Art is really cool because it's very subjective. What one person likes, somebody else might not like,
Absolutely.
and then it's vice versa. So yeah, she has an original piece, and when you blow up to what others deem as successful, she's gonna be like, yes, and I own them first. I have some of his first
Yes.
pieces. She can hand them down to her future generations, and they can own originals of Michael Jones. That'll be really
Yes.
cool.
And it's funny what you said earlier about a lot of people being intimidated. Believe me, I'm still intimidated. I mean, I follow, I have an Instagram handle, Magic Bear Art. I have a Facebook page, Magic Bear Art. Oh, hello. I have a kitty who wants to get in on the action. Sorry. Um, but I get inspiration from other artists, from songs, everything. But I look at some people's art and I'm going, wow, I wish I could do that. Or man, they are so talented. And then I look at others and I'm like, really? It's just not for me. But it's just, there are some pieces that I had created that were just kind of accidents. I was just kind of throwing something together, but somebody will come along and think it's their favorite piece and they love it and they can't wait to, and they ask me for a copy of it or they buy it, and it brings them so much joy. And even I don't understand it. I mean, some of my pieces I could look at and go, yeah, this is amazing. I love this. Others, I'm like, I don't know what you see in it, but thank you. I will never question, you know, why that's your favorite. It's your favorite for a reason, and God bless you for it. So
Yes. That is awesome. And I love that you named a few artists. I do want to ask you, do you have a favorite artist or artist that influence you?
I uh, I I never knew that I was being influenced until I realized who it was. Uh, I'm a big fantasy kid. I love Disney. I love Christmas art. My favorite Disney movies are the ones from the 1950s. The colors are so bold. There's two Disney artists. There's a woman named Mary Blair. She designed all of the concept art for films like Cinderella, Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, um, and a lot of the films from the 1940s. A lot of like the fun and fancy free. Her was very whimsical, and she also helped design the It's a Small World ride. But She uses a lot of bold colors, very imaginative. Of course, it's Disney, so it's lending itself to fantasy. And then my favorite Disney film artistically is Sleeping Beauty, because it looks like a medieval tapestry, and I'm very drawn to medieval tapestries. Well, there's a gentleman by the name of Ivan Earle, Eyvindearle, and he did all of he painted everything. He did all the set designs for Sleeping Beauty, um, and I'm drawn to that. But of course, I'm also one of the first artists I ever saw was Norman Rockwell. I love his artwork. Oh, I'm trying to think of some others that I love.
There's just so many.
There's so many. I mean, there's so many. Like my mother loved Thomas Kincaid, of course. So I bought her a Thomas Kincaid um, picture, um, and just a lot of whimsical. I collect Jim Shore pieces. Um, I'm trying to think of some other artists. There's a gentleman locally. His name is Jerome Meminger. Jerome. I've met him. He does. He is a retired military veteran, and he kind of did what I did. He just started painting for himself, and somebody saw all these paintings, and so he's now doing. He goes to a lot of jazz concerts, and a lot of times he'll go on the stage and start painting as the jazz people are playing, and he plays a lot. He paints a lot of musical instruments, and again, very vibrant colors, very whimsical. Um, and I've talked to him many times, and I've asked him to say, "Hey, do you think I'm going in the right direction?" And I love him to be my mentor, but he's just so busy.
That's what happens. A
Um,
lot of people don't realize, and I tell people in all of these, you need to have a coach or a mentor. And even in the art world, you need someone that kind of just say, hey, or somebody to bring you with them and say, okay, this is my friend, at all these events. But I did want to talk about, because you talk about vibrant colors a lot. And my favorite piece of yours, and I can't remember the name of it, but it reminded me of ice cream. So it was probably somewhere around there. It looked like a sundae, like a cherry on.
oh yeah, I call it the ice cream universe.
Oh yeah, that's my favorite piece of yours, and it is so vibrant. And for you guys, of course, you're listening. It's a very abstract piece, but when I looked at it, it just made me think of ice cream, and it just like that. And I don't even like Sundays, but it was like, oh yeah, with the cherry on top, and it just made me super happy. So I wanted to at least note one of your pieces that I really enjoyed, because
Okay.
your pieces are so vibrant. There's always lots of color, at least the ones I've seen, have a lot of color. It seems like you like a lot of blue and red, just boom. And so I think that if you're like me and I am bare walls all the time, I don't usually put anything on the wall until somebody gives it to me as a gift. But yeah, if you're looking to jazz up your life or just have something to make you smile when you look at it, that's Magic Bear art. Like those are the kind of pieces that I've seen you make, and that I'm like, yeah, it makes you smile. Because I remember I saw it, I didn't even see the original. I just saw a picture of it. I was like, oh, that's so cute. I love it.
Well, I do have the original. It's hanging in my bedroom, so if ever you want to purchase it,
Oh, look,
I'll
he's
be
gonna throw
glad
it
to.
in there. He says, okay,
I'll be glad to give you a discount. And
okay. Look, we'll have to talk about that one.
but and
So
that's another one that came about. I was watching a movie. I was watching. Oh God, I think it was like Joseph, or it was like the Prince of Egypt or something, or there I don't know, something involving a red carpet or something. And it was an animated film, and there was a scene of looking at the sky or going through the universe, and there was this image, and I'm like, oh, I love that. And so that just kind of stuck with me, and it was one of those pieces that it just got into my head, and so I kind of did my own interpretation of it, and it turned out differently than what I had originally intended. But it, like, it looks like a big ball of ice cream with a cherry on top, so I called it the ice cream universe. So yeah.
but it works. Like sometimes, yeah, you go into it. That's how it is with art, or even other things that aren't art. You go into something thinking you're going to do one thing, and then it turns out to be something completely different. I did want to touch on one thing, because I asked everybody who comes up here the same question, and that's about your hurdles. We talked a little bit about them already. You kind of said, you already was a kid that had to deal with asthma and be stuck indoors. You talked about the fact that, like I said, those doors were closing left and right, and you had to go find that real job. But what has truly been your biggest hurdle as a person in business, as an entrepreneur, when it comes to Magic Bear art?
Probably the biggest hurdle for me is my own insecurity, frankly. Because, we're always told, you know, you know, you hear the stories about the starving artists, the people who were penniless and had nothing and they die, and then 6 months later they're clearing out their attic and they find all these paintings and then become famous. And, you know, there's this ingrained sense that you don't want to do this unless unless you've got a solid footing underneath you. But in business, there is a certain level of risk that you have to take, and I'm still trying to get. I'm at the edge of. I'm at the very edge of the diving board. I'm at the very end, and I know that at some point I am going to jump into the water. It's just a matter of getting brave enough to actually do it.
Yeah, I always tell people you gotta just believe in yourself. I interviewed someone recently and they said the best thing that they did was not have a plan B. It doesn't work for everyone. That's the thing. It
You're
doesn't
right.
work for everyone. I'm not telling everybody to go out and quit their jobs because that's not what I did.
I
That's not
know.
what most of us do. But you do have to, like you said, you have to eventually decide that it's time to believe in yourself enough to invest in yourself. If you want to live the life you want to live, you have to be willing to take risks
You
because
have to be willing to do it.
all the cool stories of people that are really doing something, they're like, yeah, one day I just decided to go for it. The people who are afraid, who are just like, I can't, those people unfortunately just don't reach what their full potential. We'll say, we're not going to say success, their full potential. So I think that it's good, like I said, to see that you're in this spot right now. We're going to see you, you're on that teeter totter, you're right on the precipice ready to take the plunge. And then you don't even know, in 6 months you could jump and you could blow up in 6 months and be this really awesome artist that travels and does all the things, or whatever your goals are in business, because not everyone's goal is to make billions of dollars. Some people's goal is to have impact and to reach a whole bunch of people. So believe in yourself. Like I'm telling you this, believe in yourself and you
Oh,
can do it.
absolutely. I mean, I don't. If I mean, ultimately, my grand dream would be to have an exhibit at the Met, but also get, actually, I don't know if you can see it, but this is one of my T-shirts. This is one of my pieces of art. Um, and I've been told that my artwork would do well on clothing. So I would love to have somebody like, Diane von Furstenberg or Prada or, Gucci or anybody, those people buy my artwork and put it on clothing. I would love to have that. But yeah, another obstacle really has been, just, not knowing enough. But I have another artist friend of mine, another mentor person. Her name is Lisa Guyman. She's an artist out of the Waynesboro area, and I have a lot of her pieces, and she loves my artwork. And she said the best thing to do is get your first successful show. Well, the problem is I haven't really had a chance to do a full show yet because, one, first time I did it, my father died a couple weeks before the show, so I wasn't able to do it. And then last year we had the COVID outbreak, which canceled everything. So there's been a lot of things that were put on hold for personal reasons, uh, and then the COVID crisis has put a lot of things on hold. Um, so there are other obstacles that are outside of my control, but mainly the biggest obstacle is me, you know, biting the bullet, taking the dive, because in order to start a business, it takes work and you need to be able to have the time and the energy to devote to it. And it's kind of hard to do that if you're trying to do another full-time job plus other activities in your life. You need to be able to devote full time to the business. So that's
Exactly.
so yeah.
But it's good. You're already one step closer to your success, just knowing the things, right? Part of being able to grow as a business is knowing where you need to improve and knowing what obstacles you have. I always tell people to do a SWOT analysis of your business to know, like, what are your weaknesses, what are your strengths, what are your threats, and what are your places of opportunity. And so, of course, yeah, COVID was your threat last year, but this year you have so many opportunities coming up. Well, hopefully, God willing, with the vaccine and all
Yes,
things. But yeah, you can start planning things. And luckily, people have really gotten into virtual things, having virtual showcases and different things like that. So, as always, when one door closes, another opens, and it's just time to
absolutely.
pivot. Yeah, pivot the business. So, before we go, because we've been chit chatting for a while, but time flies when you're having fun. I do want to ask you, because you've been in the game for a while, what is a tip you have for a new entrepreneur, especially one that's going into the art um, the art realm of things?
I would say be true to yourself. Um, there's a lot of artists out there, but you can't let that stop you from creating. If that's what you want to do, create, because your voice is unique. Your voice is that's your calling card. You know, like there's a lot of singers, there's a lot of actors, but there's something about you that makes you unique. So just do it. Just go with it, create, and do it for yourself. Because ultimately, you have to be happy with your own work. Um, like I actually prefer just doing things for myself. I mean, it's nice getting commissions, but it's somebody else's interpretation. It's somebody else's. It's something. It's what somebody else wants. Versus, I like to create something that makes me happy, and hopefully somebody else will respond well to it. And fortunately, thankfully, most of the people that have commissioned me to paint for them have said, you know what, I love whatever you do, and I trust your vision. So here are the colors I love. So you just do whatever you want, which is great. So that's very helpful.
Awesome. And I love that you say you do commission work, because my next question was definitely what products do you have? And I was going to ask, do you do commission work? Like, is that a service people can get from you? So do tell us, what are your products and services?
Absolutely. Well, fortunately, I discovered a website called Redbubble last year because I was trying to find masks because I was like, you know, this is going to be with us for a while. So I just Googled, you know, colorful masks, and I found this website called Redbubble, and I discovered that it was a site for artists. And someone said, well, Michael, you're an artist. Why don't you upload your images? So that's why. So I have a shop on Redbubble. So it's Matt. If you go to redbubble.com, search for Magic Bear Art, you'll find a lot of my designs already there, and you can get things printed on uh, t-shirts, masks, phone cases, coffee cups, bedspreads, shower curtains, etc. You can also check out my Facebook page, which is Magic Bear Art. You can check me out at Instagram, which is also Magic Bear Art. I do have a website, magicbearart.com. It's very basic. It is so basic. I'm still working on it, and we'll talk about that later. But you could, in all of those places, it gives you an email. You can contact me. Um, Everything you see can be reproduced. I can do it in a print. I do a lot of prints. I do a lot of cards. Um, and of course, I can't do original paintings. And I do paintings as artwork, as gifts for friends, for Christmas, for birthdays, anniversaries. But yeah, I can do original artwork for you. So I can go as small as an 8 by 10. I can go as really large. It just depends on the size. Fortunately, I have the church that I belong to. They have a space that they're getting ready to offer to me to use as another studio. So I have another place to work on. So if you really wanted a really massive, like 6 foot by 6 foot painting, I can't do it here in my art loft, but I can certainly go over to the church and do it. So yeah, I can do anything you want. I have a person that she commissioned me to do a painting of an angel for her daughter, and so actually that painting has now become a family heirloom, and it gets passed around to whoever in the family is going through sickness or heartache or depression or just needs something to be spiritually uplifting for them. So my painting has been from Florida to California, up to Canada, back to Virginia, and Florida again. So that's a great feeling. But yeah, so I can do commissions, absolutely.
Awesome. That's great. So, guys, you heard it from him. Look him up at Magic Bear Art on Facebook, Instagram, and magicbearart.com to check out his website. He does do commission work, and then he also has is it a Redbubble?
Redbubble. It's a
Redbubble,
Redbubble
there
shop.
we go.
Yes.
So he does. You can check out Magic for Art there as well, where you can get his items printed, which is really cool. So if you're not ready to invest, because the paintings are sometimes an investment, if you're not ready to invest in an original, if you're not ready for that plunge, definitely check out his Redbubble, because you can get it printed on different things. And I actually just watched a video of a lady who's like ridiculously rich in Asia someplace, and they were doing a closet haul, and she actually paints on her like Prada bags and Gucci bags. So when you were saying them, I'm like, oh, that's definitely doable because yeah, she paints on those types of things for herself, and then she sells some when people ask. But yeah, it's really cool because you can just order it right from the website. If you love a design, throw it on a shirt, put it on a phone case, add it to whatever you want. And I think that's really cool. So definitely check out Magic Bear Art because, like I said, if nothing else, it's gonna make you smile. So who doesn't need more happiness and joy and a smile in this time that we're living in right
Absolutely.
now? But I definitely want to thank Michael for being on the podcast. I wanted you here and you did exactly what I thought you were going to do. Just be a joy. So I thank you. And I love that you told your story. Guys, I'm going to bring people up here from all backgrounds, doing all different things from different industries and at all levels of quote unquote success because I want you to see their journey. And I want to bring Michael back. I want to invite you. Look, we're here, what,
Please,
in January of 2021. I want to bring you back and see how you've done in the next year. So definitely keep us in the loop of what you got going on. I definitely want to attend your first big show that I'm sure you're gonna put on. But again, thank you guys, and remember. Just like you said, it doesn't matter if you're in art or not. Just do it. Believe in yourself and go for it. And guys, just remember, I rock, you rock, we all rock. And I will talk to you guys next time.